Buzzcocks, Manchester's greatest ever band. Well, that's what Liam Gallagher told me a few weeks ago, actually, listening. I think Buzzcocks are a very inspirational band, and Buzzcocks are a band's band, really. We've inspired a lot of bands. It kick-started the whole Manchester scene off, you know. But many bands have come up to us, big bands like, you know, U2, R.E.M., and saying, you know, Buzzcocks inspired us in the early days. And I think, you know, that was the main thing about it, really, about feeling alive and, you know, inspiring ourselves, but to inspire other bands was, you know, an extra thing with it. It's not something you set out to do, but it's a great compliment for the band. The strongest influence on me personally, just life itself, really, even more than the music. The music is like the icing on the cake for like real life, really, you know. We was kind of dealing with reality, singing about the human condition and what people have to go through, you know. And hopefully a bit of revolution in there as well, you know. So that's what made us stand out more than a lot of bands, you know. We grew up with a lot of the 60s stuff, the heyday of like people like the Kinks and Doe, the Beatles, Stones, all the 60s things, Bob Dylan, all that stuff. So that was there in our consciousness when we started, really. Later got into like 70s things like the Velvet Underground, and art sort of came into it a little bit more and stuff like that. It was more down to this punk attitude rather than using any of that in a sense, you know. We were trying to figure out what this new thing is called like punk rock at the time, really. But I'm sure all those influences are there somewhere. Life-changing singles, there's many of them, really, you know. Growing up in the 60s, it was like a plethora of like classic singles, you know. Anything from the Kinks, The Who, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was one of the first albums I heard as a kid, you know. And the Beatles and the Stones and all that, you know. I should say Bob Dylan, but I'll say Strawberry Fields Forever. Well, it's a But for me, it'd be Harmony in My Head, because that's an important song to me. And the crowd in the middle section, I pick the mic up and they'll sing along with it. It's a magic moment in the set, you know. I was very influenced by James Joyce and Ulysses, and so it was that thing of using cinematic imagery rather than linear writing, you know, like a story. It was all this cinematic input, which Joyce was talking about. And it's very powerful, and it's a lot of people's favourite, you know.
Saying the things you don't understand. Sociological inputs. Dangerous.